Hey guys, my name is Mike and welcome to the Tipsy Goat. Today we have another Bloomburrow Commander deck and it's my favorite from the set, the Infamous Cruelclaw. The Infamous Cruelclaw is a 3-mana Rakdos commander with menace with the following ability. Whenever the Infamous Cruelclaw deals combat damage to a player, exile the top card of your library until you exile a non-land card. You may cast that card by discarding a card rather than paying its mana cost. So, a lot of words, but in short, deal damage with the Cruelclaw, reveal until you reveal a non-land card. If you like the card, and we probably do, play that card by discarding a card. Everything we're going to do in this deck is written on the card. We're gonna swing with our commander at turn 3 or 4, and then we're gonna reveal an Ulamog and cast it for free. The goal of the deck is to not be busy with your opponents, let them figure out how to stop you. There are 3 types of cards that are important in this deck. Before we can pull off our evil plan, we need to be able to actually hit with the Cruelclaw. So we need some type of evasion. Cards like Silvershroud Costume, Brother Regalia or Vorak Battlehorns would do that just fine. Now we want to make sure we can always cast something good from the top of our library, so we need some type of top manipulation like Sense's Divining Top or Doom Whisperer. Especially Doom Whisperer is really good because you can dig deep into your deck until you find the solution to any situation you're in. Now that we have the good stuff on board, let's get the good stuff out of our graveyard. We will do that with the classic spells like Reanimate, Animate Dead, or my favorite, Victimize. With Victimize, you can just sacrifice the Cruelclaw and get out 2 Eldrazi's. What's the archetype of this deck? It's not going to be anything fancy, it's just aggro, 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 aggro. We want to swing with our commander and play the big stupid spells you have in your deck. You can always play more removal, more protection, blah blah blah, but I want dragons, Eldrazi's, demons, whatever. If by any chance all of your opponents have 2 creatures on board, just wait with playing the Cruelclaw because you want to make sure you can hit with him when he's on board, because he will get removed as soon as possible. Now let's look at the fundamentals of this deck. For removal, I have 2 pure removal cards. That's not that much because you don't need it, you just want to play the Cruelclaw. Board wipe, same thing, just 1 board wipe. Then we have 7 ramp, which is really low, but the Cruelclaw is just 3 mana, so you should be able to get there at turn 3. For card advantage, I have 8, which is decent. For protection, I have 7, which is more evasion 4 and reanimation 4 as well. All the cards that are 7 or more mana will be added to the following. Weaseling around 22. There we go. These are the cards we are looking to hit. They are expensive, but we are RNGing a lot. I think it's a good mix all around, but since we are RNGing a lot, it probably will happen that you just reveal a Swiftfoot Woods from the top of your library, which you can use to your advantage by saying to your opponent, oh, it's not that good. Look, it's just a Swiftfoot Woods. Get them a turn later with an Ulamog. So, once more, everything that's 7 or more will be put at the bottom, at the weaseling around. So now we're gonna look at what's 6 or less, and I put them in different categories, and we'll just talk about it. Board wipe. First off, we have the board wipe, the classic Toxic Deluge, which is great because you can just kind of remove all the small creatures and keep your commander. And Toxic Deluge is just good in any deck. Then we have some burn things. Combustible Geralt is just fun. It's also a good card to pull with the Infamous Cruelclaw. You can draw 3 cards, or you can mill 3 cards and deal damage. But since we have, as you can see, a lot of high cards, it could potentially burn them a lot. Then we have Keeper of Secrets. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, Keeper of Secrets deals damage equal to the spell's mana value to target opponent. We have the exact same thing, but then for just 2 mana. Then we have Terror of the Peaks, which does the exact same thing, but when it enters the battlefield. My favorite black card, Bottle Citadel. Look at the top card of your library. You may play lands and cast spells from the top of your library. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to its mana value rather than paying its mana cost. What's the best about this card is that you can just look at the top card of your library. If it's like a 2 mana card, you can just play it with Bottle Citadel, but it's an Emrakul, you don't feel like losing 12 life. You can just attack with the Cruelclaw and deal damage and get it out for free. Then we have Hymil, the Inner Sun. Spells you control can be countered. Great. What I like about this card is that it's at the end step, so you can use it straight away, and it just gets out the low mana cards. Then we have Creative Technique, which actually does almost the same thing as the Cruelclaw. So you have an extra Cruelclaw trigger, you can demonstrate it so someone else can do it as well, and then you can do it again. So you have potentially 3 times the Cruelclaw. Since we probably have the better cards that we want to hit in our deck, it's not that bad to just give it to someone else as well, as you get another one. Then we have Rakdos, Patron of Chaos. At the beginning of your end step, target opponent may sacrifice 2 non-token permanents. If they don't, you draw 2 cards. It's just fun. And then we have Twilight Prophet, which is pretty good in the deck, because at the beginning of your upkeep, if you have the City's Blessing, reveal the top card of your library and put it in your hand, each opponent loses X life and you gain X life, where X is that card's mana value. So you first need to have 10 or more permanents when this creature enters the battlefield or when it's there and you get a lot of high mana cards. This will gain you a lot of life and deal a lot of damage, and you get to draw an extra card each turn. Then let's look at some of the protection. We have Brotherhood Regalia, equip creatures board 2, is an assassin, and it can't be blocked, and it just 1 to equip. Then we have Imp's Mischief, so we can just switch the target of the spell, the classic Lightning Grease. Mithril Coat, because you can cash it at flash speed to give something indestructible, and again the Cruelclaw will be removed a lot of times. Same goes for Silver Shroud Costume, but just from 1 turn, and it can't be blocked. Swivel Boots and the Whisper Silk Cloak. The same goes with the Evasion, the Brotherhood Regalia again, Silver Shroud Costume again, Forward Battle Horns. It's fun because it has manas and it can be blocked by 1 more creature, so it can't be blocked. And then we have Wild Magic Sorcerer, and it has the first spell you cast from exile each turn has Cascade. So it could potentially double the amount of fun you're having. Now let's look at some of the standouts. Access Tunnel gives a creature power 3 or less, can be blocked this turn, which is great because the Cruelclaw is 3. Arena of Glory gives your creature haste, so you can attack with the Cruelclaw at turn 3. And we have these stuffs. If your commander gets removed the whole time, you can just cast it for cheaper next turn. The Half the Bannerlord is almost the same as Arena of Glory. It just gives your creature haste. Then we have Mount Doom for the fun of it. Plaza of Heroes can get your gives your creature hexproof and indestructible until end of turn, which is also good. Raucous Theater surveils, so you can just make sure you hit something at the turn. Rogue's Passage, unblockable. Blackgate, unblockable. Temple of Madness to scry to look at something good. And then we go to the ramp cards. There's not that much in there. It's an Ancient Copper Dragon. It's always good to hit with the Cruelclaw as well. Arcane Signet, Valor Stone, Ragavan, yeah, the classic bundle. So then we have to reanimate spells. It's just the classic package as well. The Animate Dead, Necromancy, Reanimate, and Victimize. What's also fun interaction is when you deal damage with the Cruelclaw and the top card is one of these cards, you can just discard a card from your hand, say again an Emrakul, discard it, play the Animate Dead, and return the Emrakul to the battlefield. We have 2 whole removal spells. Sheltered, because she's good, and she also flips into this good stuff here. It's good. Then we have Virtue of Persistence, which is a 7 mana shaman, but you can play it for 2 mana on an adventure, and then you can give a creature -3/-3. And we have the top manipulation, Abolish Citadel again, a Doom Whisperer to dig really deep into our deck. Then we have Scroll Rack, which is really good because you can put the cards from your hand on top of your library, so you can play them with the Cruelclaw. And also the Sensei's Divining Top to just look at the top 3 cards of your library. There are 2 cards that we want to discard. There's Anger and there's Filth. Anger gives all of our creatures haste, and Filth gives all of our creatures Swamp Walk. Thank you guys for watching so far in the deck tech. Now let's have a look at the fun cards in the deck. Now, these cards are not weaseling around. At first, we have Archfiend of Despair. Beginning of each end step, each opponent loses life equal to the life that player lost this turn. What more can you say? Then we have Archon of Cruelty. Whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, target opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker, discards a card, loses 3 life, you draw a card, and gain 3 life. It's just good. Then we have the classic Blightsteel Colossus, which is an 11/11. Then we have the classic Blightsteel Colossus, which is an 11/11 Trample Infect, so it could potentially just kill person straight away. Then we have Blood for the Blood God, which says discard your hand, draw 8 cards, deal 8 damage to each opponent, and then exile it. Then we have Breach the Multiverse. Each player mills 10 cards. For each player, choose a creature planeswalker card in that player's graveyard. Put those cards onto the battlefield under your control. Then each creature is a Phyrexian as well. It's just to get creatures out of your own graveyard, but also the opponent's graveyard. Then we have Captive Audience, which is a fun Rakdos card. You give it to an opponent, and then at the beginning of your upkeep, choose one that hasn't been chosen. Your life total becomes 4. Discard your hand. Each opponent creates 5 2/2 black zombie creature tokens. So it's good to not have it on your side. Then we have a Cityscape Leveler, which is an 8 mana removal. Then we have the Delayed Blast Fireball, which is 3 mana, but you can foretell it for 6, so it should not be in here. But you cast it from exile with the Cruelclaw. So you do 5 damage to each opponent and all of their creatures, which is great. And finally, we're getting to the Eldrazi's. We have Emrakul, the Promised End. You gain control of target opponent's turn. After that turn, the player takes an extra turn. So you can just fuck up their hand, remove their own creatures, do some stupid things with it. It's really fun to do. And then we have the new Emrakul, the World Anew. Whenever you cast a spell, gain control of all creatures target player controls. Flying protects you from almost everything, and when he leaves, sacrifice all creatures you control. Then we have a fun card, it's called Hit the Mother Lode. It has Discovered 10. If the discovered card's mana value is less than 10, create a number of tapped treasure tokens equal to the difference. So say we hit a Swiftwood, we get 8 treasure So let's say we hit Swiftwood Woods, we get 8 treasures to cast a spell from our hand next turn, which is pretty good. Then we have In Garruk's Wake, destroy creatures you don't control. Then we have Gurvek the Merciless, and whenever opponent casts a spell, Gurvek the Merciless deals damage equal to that player's converted mana cost to any target. So it's a fun political tool. So you can say, hey, if you cast a spell, you can deal damage to something that's not on my board. Then let's get to the next Titan. Kozilek, Butcher of Truth. You can draw 4 cards, and it has Annihilator 4. It's a 12/12. It's pretty good. Then we have Massacre Worm. Creatures get -2/-2 at the end of turn, and whenever a creature opponent control dies, it loses 2 life. And then we have Portal to Phyrexia, a 9 mana artifact that says when Portal to Phyrexia enters the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices 3 creatures. And at the beginning of your upkeep, put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. So it's to get stuff out of your graveyard, but also to get stuff out of opponent's graveyard. Then we have Shard of the Nightbringer. Whenever Shard of the Nightbringer enters the battlefield, if you cast it, which we are going to do, target opponent loses half their life, round it up. You gain life, half the life lost this way. Pretty good. Then we have a Shelly, of course. At the beginning of your upkeep, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, which we are looking to do because we're discarding a lot. And then at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, the player sacrifices a creature, so it's also removal. Then we go to my favorite, Ulamog, the Season's Hunger. Whenever you cast a spell, exile 2 target permanents. Whenever it attacks, defending player exiles the top 20 cards of their library, so they can go fast as well. And then we have the new Ulamog, the Defiler. Whenever you cast a spell, target opponent exiles half their library, rounded up. And it has +1/+1. It gets +1/+1 count. It gets Ulamog the Defiler enters the battlefield with a number of 1/1 counters on it, equal to the greatest money value among cards in exile. And it is it has Annihilator X, for X is the amount of counters. And it has Annihilator X, where X is the amount of counters on Ulamog. So let's say there's a 7 mana card. So let's say there's a 7 mana cost card in there. It gets Annihilator 7, and it's a 14/14 with Annihilator 7. Then we have the classic one, the Infinite Gyre, destroy target permanent, Annihilate 4. All good stuff. And to annoy our opponents one last time, we have Void Wind Warrior. Your opponents can't cast spells with even converted mana cost. Your opponent can block with creatures with even converted mana cost. It's just to be a pain in the ass, which we are looking to do. So the first stats we saw with the fundamentals, it's actually not true because these are in there as well, but they're too expensive to counter to play every time. 1 extra board wipe, there's 6 extra burn spells, there's 1 extra card advantage, there's 3 extra card draw, there's 1 extra ramp, there's 3 extra reanimate, and 8 extra removal. And then we get to the last category, which is extra combat, which is great with Cruelclaw because you get more triggers. Aggravated Assault, because we're not looking to spend all of our mana on spells. We probably have 5 mana open all the time, and you can swing with all the big creatures you're getting out. And we have Karlach, which gives us an extra combat step, and overpowering attack, because we are going to do damage with our commander. You can cast an extra combat spell for 3 mana, because of the free running ability. So, that's my deck. There's a lot of ways you can build around the Cruelclaw. You can build it with more extra combat steps, so you can utilize the Cruelclaw's ability even more. You can also play him with Madness cards, so you can get extra value from the cards that you are discarding. And of course, there's the Worldfire combo. Which the only non-land card in your deck is Worldfire. So you exile all hands, all graveyards, and all life totals become 1. And then you will shock the enemy with one of your lands that says deal 1 damage to each player. So I think that's a fun way to play, but you probably just play it once before everyone will kill you in real life, probably. So I think that's it. I think the Infamous Cruelclaw is such a fun commander to play because you never know what you're gonna hit on the top of your library. So it could be 3 artifacts in a row, or it could be an Ulamog on turn 3. Who knows? That's the biggest fun about these types of decks. Again, my name is Mike. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, follow us on Instagram and all that stuff. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Meh.